At my daughter's birthday, my sister-in-law snatched the gift I bought from her hands. This cheap crap? We're throwing it out. Then my mother-in-law whispered loudly, "She deserves better than what you can afford." I forced a smile, trying not to break down. That night, I took the trash out and quietly took something else with me. They still haven't realized what's missing from the house. I live in Dayton, Ohio. Nothing fancy. 2-bedroom ranch house on the west side. My husband, Rick, works HVAC. Long hours, decent pay. I used to work full-time at a local clinic, but after our daughter Lucy was born, I went part-time to take care of her. She turned 5 last Saturday. She's the kind of kid that sings to herself while drawing. Kind, soft voice. Loves dinosaurs and the color green. I wanted her birthday to be perfect. We didn't have the money for a big bounce house or party at Chuck E. Cheese, but I planned for weeks, baking the cake from scratch, putting up handmade decorations with little green triceratops. Even saved up to buy her this art set she'd been talking about. I saw her eyeing it at Target. It wasn't cheap for us, but I budgeted for it. She loved to draw. I wrapped the box with dinosaur paper and hid it in the closet until the party. Now here's where I explain something that still feels like a slow burn in my chest every day. I don't belong in Rick's family. I knew it from the start. He was the youngest of 3, and his mom, Marlene, made it real clear I wasn't good enough. His sister Becky, well, she inherited Marlene's love for putting people down with a smile. They're the kind of family that throws big Christmas parties just to show off their remodeled kitchens. Marlene once gave me hand cream for Christmas and said, "Maybe this'll help those working-class hands." Everyone laughed. Rick just looked away, but I put up with it. For Rick. For Lucy. I thought if I was patient, kind, maybe someday they'd stop treating me like dirt. I was wrong. Lucy's birthday was at our house. Backyard cookout. I invited a few of her little daycare friends and their moms. Rick grilled burgers. I had party music on. Little games set up. Lucy was smiling, running around in a paper crown. It was going okay. Then Becky showed up. Late, of course. Hair done up. Tight dress. Her nails clicking against her phone screen. Marlene walked in right behind her, carrying some enormous gift bag. "Here comes the real present," Becky announced, loud enough for everyone to turn. They brought Lucy this massive Barbie dream house. I mean, yeah, it was nice. Probably over $200. I smiled, said thanks, and tried not to feel like dirt. Lucy opened their gift first. Everyone was clapping, owing. She hugged Becky, said thank you. Then she reached for mine. I handed it to her quietly. The art set. Markers, colored pencils, sketch pad, all in a carrying case. Her eyes lit up. "Mommy, this is the one." Before she could even finish unzipping it, Becky swooped in and ripped it out of her hands. "This cheap crap, we're throwing it out." She held it up like it was something disgusting. Everyone froze. Lucy looked confused. Her little face started crumpling. I reached out to take it back, but Marlene leaned in close and whispered, loud enough that the woman from daycare next to me heard, "She deserves better than what you can afford." I swear, the world tilted, but I smiled, forced it so hard my teeth hurt. I held Lucy close and said, "You don't have to play with that dream house, honey. If you like your drawing stuff, that's all that matters." But the damage was done. That night, after we put Lucy to bed and the guests left, I cleaned up quietly. Rick had gone to bed early. I was wiping cake frosting off the table when I saw the art kit. Still there, tossed by the trash can. Lucy never even got to open it properly. I picked it up. My hands were shaking. I took the trash out. Then I went to the garage and grabbed my jacket. And I took something else with me. You see, Marlene and Becky left something behind when they came over. They didn't know I knew about it. But I've always watched closely, and what they don't know is I've been planning a way to get back at them for a long time. This just lit the match. They still haven't noticed what I took from their car. And when they finally do, it'll be too late. I waited until it was dark. After the last trash bag hit the bottom of the bin, I walked around the side of the house to where Becky had parked. She always drives her big white Lexus SUV with her company's logo on the side. Some local marketing firm in Cincinnati. She left it unlocked. Typical. She never thinks anyone's a threat to her. In the back seat, I found the bag. A black tote with gold trim. I'd seen her pull it out earlier, rummaging for lip gloss. I didn't know what was inside, but I had a hunch. I opened it slowly, using just the light from my phone. Inside were folders, a laptop, and a small zip case with flash drives. Nothing labeled clearly, just logos and initials. But I knew what I was looking at: client work, business documents. Becky had made it clear at every family gathering that her big clients trusted her with sensitive branding and design work. She always bragged about how everything's on me. If I lost this stuff, I'd be screwed. So I took the whole thing. Quiet, calm, and fast. I stuffed the tow into a plain black garbage bag, slid it behind our lawnmower in the shed, and locked the door. Then I walked back inside, hugged Lucy while she slept, and lay in bed staring at the ceiling. The next morning, Becky called Rick. I heard him on the phone from the hallway. "You sure you didn't leave it at your house?" Pause. "No, I didn't see anything in the yard." Long pause. Okay. I'll ask around." He hung up with a sigh and called out to me. "Did you see a black tote in the backyard?" I shook my head. "Nope." "Did she lose something?" He looked annoyed. "She says she left her work stuff here. I told her we'd check the trash." I played dumb. I already took out. I didn't see anything. That afternoon, Becky came over, stormed into the backyard, flinging open our shed doors without even asking. Rick was too distracted with his fantasy football draft to say anything. I stood in the kitchen with a mug of coffee, watching her through the window as she tore through the yard like a rabid animal. She didn't find it. I made sure of that. I knew what I was going to do, but I waited a few days. Let her squirm. She posted on Facebook that her entire career might be in danger due to a careless mistake. She begged anyone who lived nearby to check their property. She didn't mention she'd insulted me in front of 20 people or tossed my daughter's birthday gift in the trash. I started looking through the flash drives late at night after Lucy went to bed. At first, I just wanted to hurt her. But what I found gave me so much more than revenge. Some of the files were invoices. Some were PDFs with contract details. But one folder, labeled NDAs, had scanned signatures. I recognized a few names from ads I'd seen around town. A real estate company. A plastic surgeon. One was from a state senator's office. I didn't open everything. I didn't need to. I knew right away Becky had taken sensitive client data out of her office and carried it around in her damn purse, unsecured. Worse, it looked like she'd made side copies of design proposals, likely to double bill or use templates she wasn't supposed to. In short, she was breaking contracts, maybe even breaking laws. That's when I realized I could bury her. But I didn't act right away. I kept playing the sweet sister-in-law. I even brought Lucy over to Marlene's one evening when Rick had to work late, just to keep up appearances. Marlene barely looked at me, but I saw her glare when Lucy showed up, holding her drawing kit. "She's still playing with that old thing?" Marlene said, pouring herself wine. "She loves it," I said, smiling. "It's probably the best thing she owns." That got me a look I'll never forget. On the way out, I noticed Becky's car wasn't in the driveway. So I made a copy of the flash drive with the NDAs and stored it on my old desktop, under a fake name. I printed 2 of them. One went into a plain envelope. No return address. I sent it to the head of the marketing firm Becky worked for. I waited. It took about a week before the explosion happened. Rick came home from work one night, eyebrows raised, and said, "You hear what happened to Becky?" I played innocent. "No." "What?" "She got suspended. Some kind of client data leak. She says someone hacked her and took a drive from her car. Now HR is doing a full investigation." I pretended to gasp. "She left client stuff in her car?" Rick shook his head. "Dumb move." Inside, I felt like screaming with laughter. But I stayed calm. I had no idea how deep this would go, but it was already starting. And I wasn't finished, because what I hadn't told anyone yet, not even Rick, was that I also found something else. An email. From Marlene. To Becky. It was a scan of a bank statement. Not Becky's. Rick's. Marlene had access to Rick's account. Years ago, she co-signed a small loan for him when he started his HVAC apprenticeship. I thought that account was closed. I thought that part of our life was done. Turns out it wasn't. Marlene had been using Rick's old account to watch us. And worse, there were withdrawals. Ones Rick didn't make. Hundreds of dollars every few months. Small enough that we never noticed. But it added up. And the signature? It wasn't Rick's. It was Marlene's handwriting. She was stealing from us. And Becky knew. After I found the email, I couldn't sleep. I sat at the kitchen table, staring at the printed bank statement. My hands were shaking. All this time, I thought we were just bad with money, struggling like everyone else. But now I knew the truth. Marlene had been stealing from us. And Becky knew. I checked the dates and matched them against our own records. Every time we skipped a date night or put off buying Lucy's school supplies, there had been a quiet little withdrawal. Every time I said, "We'll wait till next paycheck." Someone else had already taken that money. Rick never noticed. And now I had to decide, do I tell him? Or do I use this? I needed more. If I was going to take them down, I wanted every crack to split wide open. I needed evidence. Real evidence. So I did something that scared me. I played dumb and went to Marlene's house that weekend. Told her I wanted to pick up some of Lucy's old clothes she said she had in storage. It gave me an excuse to look around. While she was in the laundry room, I slipped into her home office. She kept everything neat. Too neat. Like she didn't want anyone snooping. But she made a mistake. In the bottom drawer, behind a stack of old calendars, was a checkbook. Still active. I flipped it open and there it was, Rick's name. Her handwriting. Different addresses. Multiple transfers. One of the checks was made out to cash just 3 weeks ago. $480. I pulled out my phone and snapped pictures fast. Then I found something else. An envelope with a return address from Longview Assisted Living. I opened it. Inside was a printed bill. For someone named Martin Holbrook. I'd never heard that name, but I knew that Marlene's dad, Rick's grandpa, had died years ago. I asked Rick once where he was buried, and he said, "We couldn't afford much of a service." Now I was looking at a full elder care bill. Recent. Regular monthly payments. She was hiding someone. I folded the bill and took it with me. I'd blame it on cleaning if she ever asked. But she didn't. I drove straight to the library. Used one of the public computers to search the name. Martin Holbrook was alive. He was 78. Living in a private wing at Longview Assisted Living just 40 minutes away in Wilmington. And his emergency contact, Becky Carson. Becky had a second name. Her married name. But she still used her maiden name socially and at work. I clicked on the digital guest book from the facility's website. Marlene visited twice a week. They were hiding him, supporting him. With Rick's money, I sat there, stunned. All this time, Rick thought his grandfather had died broke. But no, he was alive, being cared for in secret. And Marlene was stealing from Rick to pay for it. Why? What were they hiding? I drove home in a daze. Lucy was drawing on the porch, humming to herself. She looked up and smiled. I forced one back. Inside, Rick was watching some old Western. He barely noticed when I walked in. That night, I waited until everyone was asleep and printed everything out. The emails, the checks, the bank statement, the assisted living bill. I knew what I was going to do. But then something happened that threw me off. Rick's phone rang at midnight. He never gets calls that late. I picked it up from the nightstand. Becky's name flashed across the screen. I let it ring. Then it dinged, voicemail. Curious, I played it back with the volume low. Becky's voice was frantic. "Rick, it's me. I need to talk to you now. Something's happened with Mom." She's gone too far. You need to call me back before she does something stupid." My heart froze. The next morning, Rick left for work early. I waited until Lucy was watching her cartoons and called Becky myself. Blocked number. She answered in a whisper. "Hello, it's me." She sighed. "Jesus, what do you want?" "You left something here. At the party. Remember?" Silence. "Look, if this is about the drive." "I saw the email," I said. "The one with Rick's bank statement. I know you both took from him. And I know about Martin Holbrook." She didn't speak for a moment. Then she whispered, "Where did you find that?" "Doesn't matter. I want the truth." She laughed bitterly. "You don't know what you're messing with." "I think I do." "No, you don't," she said. "If you blow this up, you'll hurt Rick more than you'll hurt us." I gritted my teeth. "You should have thought of that before you humiliated me and stole from us." "He's not supposed to know," Becky said quickly. "Mom promised she'd handle it. Martin's not just some old man. He's not safe. That's why we kept him there. There's a reason no one talks about him. Just leave it alone." I hung up, and suddenly it all made sense. Marlene had cut Rick off from his own blood to protect a secret. Martin Holbrook wasn't just a forgotten grandfather. He was a danger, and Rick had no idea he even existed. But I did, and I was going to use him. I didn't care what they were hiding anymore. If they thought they could take my dignity, my daughter's joy, and our money, then I was going to burn every bridge they built. Slow, quiet, and right under their noses. Scott never messaged again after that night. He didn't show up to the next court hearing either. His lawyer was there, sitting stiff and awkward while the judge read out the reports, our daughter's statement, the school visit incident, the police report, the screenshots from Tanya, and now this latest, an official letter from Richard, his own father, stating that Scott had refused all advice, lied about key events, and acted in ways that suggest deep emotional instability and narcissism. The judge's words were final. Supervised visitation only, until he completed a 6-month parenting and therapy program. No overnights, no alone time, and any violation would lead to permanent loss of custody rights. The gavel came down. I let out a breath I hadn't even realized I was holding. Outside the courthouse, it was drizzling. I stood under the overhang, watching cars roll by on Benton Road, when Richard walked up behind me. He looked thinner than before. His gray hair was more white now, and he wore a jacket that hung too loose on his shoulders. "He's not right," he said without even greeting me. I didn't want to believe it, but after what I saw, there's something broken in him. I nodded. He looked down at the sidewalk. I failed him somewhere. "You didn't raise him alone." He gave me a small, dry laugh. "That's true." He paused again. I wanted to say I'm sorry for what Diane said, what she did. "I don't want an apology for her," I said. "I want you to stay in my kids' lives. They need someone from that side of the family who still knows how to love." He looked at me with tired eyes. "Then I'll be there." And he kept that promise. He visited every week, brought over puzzles, took my daughter to piano lessons when I had to work late, sat on the porch with my son in his lap, pointing out birds. It was the one part of that family I kept. But the others? They all scattered. Diane never recovered. Her name went around town, especially after the school incident. Her church kicked her off the committee. She stopped getting invited to functions. Eventually, she sold her house and moved out near her sister in Shreveport. I heard she tried to reach out to Elise a few times, but Elise didn't answer. Elise had her baby that spring. A girl. She named her Grace. But it wasn't graceful. The birth was rough. Emergency C-section. She had no one there except a nurse. Scott showed up 2 days later. Drunk, got into an argument with the staff, and was escorted out. He never signed the birth certificate. Caleb never looked back. He moved to Tyler, Texas, and took a job as a diesel mechanic. I got one short message from him before he left. "Thanks for not letting her fool me again." Elise ended up moving back in with her mother, living off whatever she had left. The dealership her dad ran one under last fall, and now she sells makeup online. I saw a post on her social media once, something about healing journeys and reclaiming her power. But I know the truth. The power she tried to claim came at the cost of everything real, and she has to wake up every day with that. Scott's fall was the hardest. After he lost custody, he spiraled. DUI 6 months later. Lost his job. His car got repoed. Tanya pressed harassment charges after he showed up outside her work, demanding closure. The charges were dropped, but her boss fired her anyway. She moved to Dallas to start over. Another life got poisoned. Last I heard, he was living in a halfway house, attending court-mandated therapy. His mother stopped sending money. Richard refused to let him move in. He sent one card to our daughter last Christmas. She threw it away unopened. She still won't say his name out loud. I'm not proud of how far I had to go, but I don't regret it, because when I walk my kids into school now, I don't have to look over my shoulder. When my daughter wakes up in the middle of the night, crying from dreams she won't explain, I can hold her and say, "You're safe now." And when I sit down alone, in this apartment I fought to keep, I look at the piece I built from the ruins. Revenge isn't about getting even. It's about taking back the life they tried to destroy. I didn't just survive. I ended it, on my terms, and now they all live with the truth. They laughed at me. But I was never the joke. They were. And no one's laughing now.